As the spot on the main stage caught the gold trim of my uniform, I looked into a sea of 300 applauded guests to see one empty seat in the front row. The seat reserved for my biological daughter, Chloe. 2 hours earlier, she'd texted me, "Mom, it's just a service award." Tyler and I decided to take the Cabo trip instead. What Chloe didn't know was that this 30-year ceremony wasn't just a celebration of my career. It was the exact moment I was announcing the recipient of my $675,000 family trust fund and private estate. Instead of letting that front seat stay empty, I invited Maya, the daughter of my late best friend, who was currently working 2 jobs just to stay afloat. When I handed Maya the velvet binder on live camera, Chloe was on a beach 1,000 miles away. 5 hours later, my phone blew up with 82 missed calls. My name is Colonel Rachel Morgan. I am 56 years old, a retired military officer, and for the last 15 years, I've served as a corporate director for a global defense logistics firm. Over 3 decades of service, between uniform and corporate suits, I built a life rooted in discipline, structure, and loyalty. But if 30 years of leadership taught me anything about strategy, it taught me nothing about how to handle the cold indifference of my own flesh and blood. The gala was supposed to be the crowning achievement of my career. 300 distinguished guests, military veterans, and corporate executives were gathering at the Grand Regency Ballroom to mark my 30-year milestone. I had personally covered the flight and hotel reservations for my 28-year-old daughter, Chloe, ensuring she had a first-class seat to celebrate the moment with me. 4 hours before the ceremony, as I smoothed down the gold braid on my formal dress uniform, my phone chimed on the dressing table. It wasn't a call. It was a brief, careless text message from Chloe. "Mom, we can't make it. It's just a boring corporate service award anyway. Tyler and I decided to take an impulse trip to Cabo instead. Have fun with your speech." I stared at the screen, my throat tight. Her husband, Tyler, a man who had spent the last 3 years bouncing between failed business ventures while expecting me to bankroll their lavish lifestyle, had convinced her that a Mexican beach weekend was more important than 30 years of my hard work. To Chloe, my lifetime of sacrifice was just a boring award. What she didn't realize was that I had spent the entire morning in a lawyer's office preparing to change her life forever. Standing in that quiet dressing room, holding my phone, a heavy realization washed over me. Chloe hadn't always been this distant, but over the last few years her sense of entitlement had metastasized. I had raised her as a single mother after my husband passed away, giving her every opportunity I never had. Yet, the more I gave, the more she expected. To Chloe and Tyler, my hard work wasn't something to respect. It was simply an endless safety net to fund their luxury dinners, designer clothes, and last-minute tropical vacations. Then my mind shifted to Maya. Maya was 24, the daughter of my late best friend, Sarah. When Sarah passed away 4 years ago after a grueling battle with cancer, Maya's world shattered. Instead of crumbling, that girl stepped up. She worked grueling 12-hour shifts as a medical assistant, taking on double duty just to pay off her mother's lingering medical debts and keep a roof over her head. Despite having every reason to ask for help, Maya never asked me for a single penny. She called me every Sunday just to ask how my knee was holding up, or if I was getting enough rest. She showed me the quiet, selfless love I had spent decades wishing to see in my own daughter. With an unsteady breath, I dialed Maya's number. When she answered, I swallowed the lump in my throat and asked if she was free tonight, and if she would sit in the front row as my guest of honor. When the town car pulled up to the Grand Regency Ballroom, the grandeur of the evening hit me in full force. Flashbulbs flickered along the velvet carpet, and regional news cameras lined the lobby to cover the banquet. Governors, military brass, and high-ranking corporate executives milled through the hall, sipping champagne while classical strings resonated through the high ceilings. Yet amidst all the opulence, my mind remained fixed on the leather-bound binder resting inside my briefcase. For months, this ceremony was meant to be the backdrop for a massive surprise. I had worked with my estate attorney to finalize a comprehensive living trust. The agreement transferred full ownership of my primary four-bedroom estate, along with my non-military investment portfolio, a combined value of $675,000, directly to Chloe. I wanted to hand her complete financial security on the very night I stepped back from my career, showing her that every sacrifice I made was for her future. Then I saw Maya standing near the entrance. She wore a simple, off-the-rack navy dress, likely bought on short notice from her modest savings, and her eyes searched the room nervously. When she caught sight of me in my dress uniform, her entire face lit up. She walked over, pulled me into a tight embrace, and whispered, "I am so proud of you, Aunt Rachel. You worked so hard for this." There was no hidden agenda in her voice, no calculation, just genuine, unvarnished pride. 30 minutes before I was scheduled to take the stage, I walked into the venue's private business center. I pulled out the trust documents, laid them across the desk, and dialed my attorney. "Change the beneficiary name," I told him calmly. "Transfer everything to Maya." When my name was called, the applause echoed through the ballroom as 300 guests stood to their feet. I walked up the stairs to the main stage, the bright spotlights catching the gold trim of my uniform. Standing before the podium, looking out at the sea of distinguished colleagues, my eyes settled on the front row. There sat Maya, beaming with tears of genuine pride in her eyes, occupying the exact seat my daughter had discarded for a beach getaway. I adjusted the microphone and delivered my address. I spoke about 30 years of duty, the meaning of selfless sacrifice, and how true family isn't defined by the blood running through your veins, but by who stands beside you when the room goes quiet. "Tonight isn't just about looking back at my career," I announced, turning toward the local broadcast cameras that were beaming the event across the region. "It is about passing the torch to the next generation." I gestured toward the front row. "Maya, please join me on stage." Maya looked around in shock, placing a hand over her heart before slowly stepping up to the podium. I opened the velvet binder resting on the stand, revealing the newly notarized deed and trust transfer documents. "Maya," I said into the microphone, my voice echoing throughout the hall, "for your unwavering loyalty, your quiet strength, and the honor you bring to your late mother's memory, I am officially transferring my primary estate and family trust, valued at $675,000, into your name tonight." The crowd erupted into roaring applause. Maya collapsed into my arms, sobbing with uncontrollable relief as she realized her crushing debts were gone forever. Completely unaware that 1,000 miles away, her life-changing moment was airing on live TV. By the time the gala concluded, the emotional footage of the presentation had already taken on a life of its own. A clip of a decorated veteran presenting her late best friend's daughter with a life-changing trust live on regional news went viral, racking up hundreds of thousands of views across social media within hours. Commentators praised the quiet triumph of genuine loyalty over forgotten bonds. Unbeknownst to me, 2,000 miles away in Cabo San Lucas, Chloe and Tyler were sitting at an upscale resort beach bar. High above the rows of top-shelf liquor, a massive flat-screen television was tuned to the evening news broadcast. The banner across the bottom of the screen read, "Retired military officer surprises late friend's daughter with $675,000 trust live on stage." Tyler happened to glance up, drink in hand, only to freeze as my face filled the screen, followed immediately by Maya walking onto the stage to accept the leather-bound binder. The realization hit them like a physical blow. The boring service award Chloe had dismissed was the exact night I was giving away her entire inheritance. After bidding farewell to my colleagues, I accompanied Maya to a quiet diner to celebrate. I switched my phone off and placed it deep inside my purse, choosing to savor every moment of her relief. It wasn't until midnight when I finally returned to my quiet home and powered the device back on that the screen lit up like a Christmas tree. 82 missed calls, 37 frantic text messages, and a dozen screaming voicemails from Chloe demanding to know if this was a sick joke. At 6 o'clock the following morning, the sound of aggressive knocking echoed through my front hallway. I opened the door to find Chloe and Tyler standing on the porch, their eyes bloodshot, bags under their eyes, and clothes rumpled from catching an emergency red-eye flight back from Cabo. The tropical getaway was officially over. "Are you insane, Mom?" Chloe screamed, shoving her phone in my face, which displayed the viral video of Maya on stage. "You gave away my house? You gave away $675,000 to Sarah's daughter? That was supposed to be my money." Tyler stepped forward, his face flushed with anger as he tried to use his imposing stature to intimidate me. "Rachel, this is complete legal fraud," he snapped, raising his voice. "Chloe is your biological daughter and your legal heir. You can't just hand over family assets to a stranger on live television. We're hiring a lawyer to contest this whole thing." I stood on the threshold, unbothered, keeping my posture straight and my hands folded in front of me just as I had for 30 years in uniform. "First of all, Tyler, step off my porch before I call the authorities," I said, my voice steady and cold as ice. "And second, Chloe, you made your choice clear 2 days ago." Chloe blinked, tears of fury welling in her eyes. "What choice?" "I asked you to stand by me for my 30-year milestone, and you told me it was just a boring award," I reminded her, looking her dead in the eye. "You decided a vacation with your husband was worth more than honoring my lifetime of work. You showed me exactly where your priorities lie." Maya earned that trust through 4 years of genuine love and devotion, while you treated me like an open checkbook. The documents are signed, notarized, and legally binding. "There is nothing to contest." Tyler tried to interject, but I held up a hand, cutting him off instantly. "The bank accounts you two use to draw allowance from are officially closed. The credit cards under my name have been canceled. From this day forward, you two are entirely on your own. Learn what it means to earn your own way." Chloe stood speechless on the porch, the harsh reality finally sinking in. For the first time in her life, her mother wasn't going to fix her mistakes. Without a word, I closed the heavy oak front door, locking it firmly, and turned back toward the peace of my home. In the weeks that followed, Tyler's threats of lawsuits evaporated into thin air once their attorney reviewed the documents and confirmed the transfer was 100% legal and airtight. Stripped of my financial cushion, the two of them were forced to downsize their lifestyle, selling off luxury goods and taking on real jobs to cover their mounting debts. Meanwhile, Maya used a portion of the trust to settle her mother's remaining medical bills completely, using the rest to finish her nursing degree without the crushing weight of financial hardship. Now, as I sit in my sunlit garden, enjoying the tranquil mornings I spent 30 years working to earn, I hold no bitterness in my heart. Blood may connect us to people, but true family is forged through respect, loyalty, and the choices we make when no one is watching. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have given your daughter another chance, or would you have passed the torch to someone who truly appreciated it? Let me know in the comments below.